Welcome to another episode of Talkin with Miss Trish. It's March, so we know I'm celebrating amazing women. Today I have the one and only Tamara Wlliams.
Yeah.
Tamara, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. We're going to talk. We're going to chop it up. I love you so much. I love everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
But for everybody who doesn't know, tell them who you are.
Okay. From the top to the bottom, what bio do you want?
First
of all, let me just say one thing. I don't know which camera will look like, but let me look at the audience right now. Do you see how put together I am? Okay, if you guys know Miss Trish, one thing you know about her is that you need to come correct. And even though it's in the morning, I might be looking like I'm ready to go out at night, but I made sure I even came with an extra pair of shoes. So
she did.
That's how top of top she is.
Absolutely did. She absolutely did.
So Miss Trish and we've met like multiple times.
Very many times, fields. Exactly.
But for me, I like to just say I'm a helper, a servant leader. The list is long. I'll get to it. But I feel like I have a calling to help people based on my own experiences. And more so, I'm the director of Black Community Initiatives at the Disabled Women's Network, where I've been since 2015.
Wow, nice.
Wasn't always in that position.
Okay.
Started off as an assistant. They wanted me to clean fridges and stuff. But you know what? It's a feminist collective, and I've learned feminist qualities that I've used to advocate for myself. So that from being that assistant, go here, to being where I'm at today, it took a lot of balls, and I'm happy.
I love that.
I'm also a part-time clinical educator at an organization that works with young mothers who've been in vicarious situations. A lot of them have complex trauma. A lot of them are dealing with youth protection. So this is like a parenting program that we do a whole round of holistic services, from offering mental health support to one-on-one counseling, and to just doing case management to make sure that they get the resources that they need. And also I work as a family caseworker. And this is with another organization where the schools call in for support when they identify that students are having difficulties, whether socially, academically. Sometimes they have been labeled defiant, which I hate.
Oh my goodness.
There's always layers to the onion, right?
Of course, right.
So what I do is I come in and I work with the schools as a median point.
Okay.
As well as the families, right? For me, my focus is always empowering the families, allowing them to know that even if they feel like their child is being labeled, that does not mean they're a bad parent.
Right.
Because there's a lot of sense that goes around that makes them feel like they're a horrible parent, right? Wow. But I always encourage them to let them know that you are amazing. And everybody in this situation feels like you. No one wants to have their child pointed out, right?
That's it.
So we really focus on identifying goals that align with what the school has identified, but also knowing that you take that with a grain of salt, because the school is only seeing children in a certain aspect of their life. And also identifying the goals that the families have identified and finding ways that we can mesh it together, ensure that strategies are transparent and that can translate from what they're doing at school, the parents could also do at home, and vice versa. So there's some consistency and structure.
I love that. So what's one of the biggest lessons you've actually taken away from doing all of that?
Be authentically me.
In what way? How?
Like, I don't try, even in the academic spaces that I am, because I finished my master's in social work.
Yes!
But I've been out of the academic field for like 10 years. Like, I dropped out of college and I was never in university until 2016.
Okay.
And then I did my family life certificate. I did my bachelor's in human relations. I did a graduate diploma in youth work, and then my master's. And even though I'm in those spaces and, a lot of people have a taste about academics and how they often behave, I don't always feel like I belong, because I'm always still me. Like, even when we're talking about a certain groups of people, like the general population, I feel like I'm still that general population, even though I'm in those spaces. So when I work with families, I don't try to approach the situation as I have all the answers. I don't approach it as I'm just like some super professional that just knows what to do in your situation. I approach it with grace and humility, thanking them for letting me in their space.
I like that.
And just letting them know that they are the experts of their own lives. And I'm here just to guide the process.
Yes.
Asking the right questions.
Yes.
I don't know why it doesn't work for myself, but
listen, it's easier to give advice.
Yeah, asking them the right questions and allowing them to come to a space where they feel empowered in their decisions, empowered in their own experiences.
Yes.
And to know that you know what's best for your child, and in a situation where you don't and you're not giving them the best, what can we do to help? What supports are there maybe already available at school or in the communities that we could offer, right? So
I love that. Yeah. What is one thing that you would actually tell your younger self? You said you dropped out of college in 2016.
I lived a very different life, and God, I haven't fully given my testimony yet, just here and there, but God has changed my life, and I never grew up in church. You know what I mean? The big God.
Yes.
So I went to an all-girls school, very sheltered.
Okay.
I didn't take the metro on my own until I was 15.
Wow. Okay.
And then from 15, I got around with a lot of people who maybe weren't best for me and my future, and got into a lot of experiences of physical and sexual abuse, sex work, substance abuse. Wow. Like I was dealing with addiction for several years of my life. Okay. There was even instances where I was living out of my car, and then they decided to do construction on Saint Urbain.
Oh no!
And I went away because I'm traveling, I'm doing my stuff.
Yes.
Never in one place. I come back, they made a fence around my car, and I felt so ghetto because I was ghetto and I am ghetto.
Okay.
I just left my car, man. So from there, I was moving in. I was staying at like different hotels and stuff like that. And it was nothing really stable. But throughout that life, like even in that game or that lifestyle, I always tried to maintain somewhat of a job. So I was working at Guess, and I started working at TD and everything like that. But I did drop out of school during everything like that. And but there was always something in me. Like my personality has always been me. Okay. I've always been hyperactive. I've always liked to do as many things as possible. I've always been creative. I tried every instrument, Okay. And like what happened is that in 2014, it's like God started calling me a little bit. I was still in that lifestyle. Right. Still heavy into drugs, still into sex work. Okay. And people were sending me sermons. Ooh, right? Okay. And like someone was sending me a sermon. I'm like, why are you sending me a sermon? I'm like, TD Jakes, like who the hell is that? You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. But it's someone who from the peripheral like saw that this is somebody who maybe is not a part of that life. Like some people said that type of life is for certain people, but like for me it was like a passerby. I never felt like I belonged, whether it was school, whether it was when I started chilling with Black people, because the high school was predominantly white. Catholic and white. Yes, okay. I always had that feeling of being like an outcast, right? Okay. So I was talking to a Haitian person, and they were practicing voodoo. Oh wow! And so I would post things about it. Like it was so interesting to me because I didn't really have a spiritual background, and I'm interested in spirituality, period. Like even if I didn't grow up in church, I was always the type of person to be like, oh, the wind has an energy and rocks. I always felt witchy in a sense. That's what they'll call us now. But if we think about culturally, like I'm half Bayesian, half Jamaican. Yes. And like culturally, our ancestors, even before mixing with Taino, from Africa back to the Caribbean, the Caribs, right? They are known for being connected to the earth, connected to herbs, and those spiritual things. Like it was banned in Jamaica, of course, but the Haitians had done very well to hold on to their spiritual lineage and to archive it and to turn that from oral history into written history. Right. We didn't really get the opportunity to do that. So I was very much into it, and all this stuff was happening that was making me believe more in God. Because I started to say, if this is real, there has to be a hierarchy to things. Right. That's my private school brain going. Right, of course, yes. And like there has to be a God. And he was giving me a Bible, even though like I was working in that life and doing all this stuff, I would have a Bible with me. Wow. So he was giving me a Bible, and then sometimes I'm away, and like during downtime, so I would take out my Bible and I would read. That scared a lot of people away in that lifestyle. Of course it would. But for me it was like I anything that comes in my mind, like I'm an Aquarius and I'm hyper, I go overboard. Lord.
Okay.
So you give me the Bible for the first time. I'm reading something. It connected with me. Now I'm taking all these different translations of the Bible because I'm trying to make it make sense to me. Right. So I started taking notes. And then when I come back from being out of town, you know, someone who wanted to control you, to me, it was like, oh, take my money, take my keys, my car, take these things. He took my Bible.
Ooh.
And my notes. He said, no, you're going overboard. It's going to make you go crazy. Oh. So one time he told me to do something with water and a candle that he would carve and stuff like that and pour it out. And I did it. But then he was like, okay, now you could like ask for money and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't feel comfortable asking God for money.
Exactly.
And that's when he told me, you're not praying to God. So I was going through like this spiritual thing where I felt at one point like I was being watched in the dark. I really felt it, you know? I started dreaming things. I started having visions, and I was just thinking it was the drugs. Okay?
Okay. That's honest. I like that. Okay.
But every time I was away from this person, I would get more in tune with God at a purest form because it's without church.
Right.
It's a relationship now.
Absolutely.
So I said, God, if you are really the God that people say you are and that I think you are, give me a sign that this person is not for me.
Okay.
And this person was really harassing me at the point, calling me a bunch of times because they wanted to have that hold on me.
Of course, yes.
And every time there was distance, I felt a little bit more free. But for out of all the harassment, getting maybe 100 calls a day, for 24 hours after I put God to the test, they didn't call me.
Do you know that's the most powerful prayer? When you say, get rid of this person or show me this light, because it happens like this all the time.
I swear. Literally. And like after that, someone who's also been a pinnacle in my life, Kevin Calix, at that time, he said, come to a Bible study.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I left Niagara. Woo! And came all the way to Montreal to go to Bible study. And I was sleeping on one of those trains, and like it felt like something came and slapped me in my face. And you know, I was a hothead, so I came up and I'm looking around.
Like, who hit me?
And I'm like, who hit me? You know, it was my stop.
Wow.
So from there I went there. We were worshiping in someone's basement, and I was still convoluted. Like I was still confused between Christianity, spirituality, all that religion, all this stuff.
Right.
I'm new. I'm old. I'm 28 now.
Yes.
But it's old for me. So, and then all of a sudden they're talking, and this pastor that we had is a prophet, you know, and was saying that there's someone here who they've been going through a lot, but God wants them back in Montreal to regain that family basis that they lost, right?
Right.
And right again, I was just like, you know when they tell you close your eyes?
Of course, yes.
I'm looking around.
You're like, who are they speaking of?
You know?
What are you talking about?
And then all of a sudden I'm there, and he's next to me, and he said, come to the front, right? So I'm like, I didn't feel comfortable, so I'm like, let me just stay here. So they were all praying and praying. I had long nails, you know, girls in the club with the long nails. I had these long nails, and then all of a sudden I felt like a wind came, and I stumbled back, and I went to grab one of the chairs behind me. My nail broke, right? And then he's like, okay, yeah, come to the front. So he took me, come to the front, and they're praying, and I closed my eyes. I'm hearing like another language in my head.
Okay.
And he's telling me, he keeps touching the bottom of my chin. He says, let it out, let it out. And I was like, but I don't know what it is.
Wow.
And that's when I started speaking in tongues. But I'm still confused because I know in certain spiritual sects and, religious environments, other people speak in tongues too.
Of course.
I still didn't make the connection that, is this from God? Is this from another spirit? I don't know.
Right. You don't know. Yeah.
And then that led to me getting baptized, joining his church, and he was a very come as you are church. So I didn't have church clothes, girl.
Okay, well, come on now, that's okay.
I had those décolleté shirts.
That's okay.
And those mini skirts.
You really are supposed to come as you are.
And those high cut boots.
Right.
So imagine looking like a streetwalker.
Right.
Coming into church, but he let me sing on choir. He let me participate, and I felt so loved. And I'm like, if this is what God is about, I want in.
That's it.
So then I planned to get baptized, and my mom, she makes clothes, so I made me this dress, and I'm like, I felt like I'm getting married to Jesus. She made me this white thing, and I'm like, I'm ready. But we tried the first time, and the water ran out.
Ooh.
So we tried a second time, and then there was another issue, so I couldn't get baptized by that pastor.
Okay.
And then my grandmother, you know these old Jamaican churches,
yes,
apostolic Pentecostal,
yes,
right?
yes.
She said, Tamara, I'm gonna tell you, maybe it's not the one that you're supposed to get baptized by. So she's like, yo, just come to my church. It's in NDG on West Hill, Apostolic Church. And I went there. Once again, I don't have church clothes. So I had a nice fitted, tight thing, short. My hair was frizzy and red.
I love it.
They're preaching and they're like, sometimes God will leave the 99 to go for the one.
Right?
And once again, my eyes is closed, but I learned my lesson. Don't open it because they'll point at you.
Exactly.
So I kept my eyes closed and I said, it's not me. And then I hear something said, it
is you.
And it's not me. And then when I opened,
like,
the pastor was right next to me.
Wow.
Touching me again, identifying me again, and I got baptized that same moment. It was hilarious getting baptized with all these mothers.
I was going to say.
I'm full of tattoos. I have big red hair, and I'm used to nudity now, so I just drop my clothes, and they're like, "Oh, wow, Jesus, hallelujah, thank God, this girl coming off the street getting baptized."
Oh my goodness!
So I got baptized.
I love that. It's
the
amazing.
red dye in my hair seeped through all the white,
wow.
all the water.
Wow!
And when I came up, I was speaking in tongues, and as I walked by, it was like such a powerful moment because as I start walking down the steps, everybody around me started speaking in tongues, and then they created this like whole crowd around me. And as we walk out, from old to young, everyone was just speaking in tongues. Did I stay in that church? No.
Okay.
But what that church taught me, because apostolics is like, you can't wear pants.
Yes, I know that.
Can't wear
They're very strict with a lot of things, actually.
Coming from?
Exactly, yeah.
So
into that's a big transition, my
friend.
Yeah,
but what God showed, because at first I started changing from man, and I was always questioning the pastor, like, why not this? Why this? Like, in the Bible it says this. It says not to wear red. I hear people wearing red. Where does it say we can't? I was like so rebellious, but naturally, my lineage comes from a slave revolt in Barbados.
Right.
Rebellion is in my blood.
Of course.
On both ends, Jamaican and Bajan. And so I did end up stripping things down and stripping more. And then when God made me realize, like, I'm doing this so you can love yourself at your purest form, not for a church. So the lashes left.
Okay.
The fake nails left.
Yes.
The weave left.
Right.
The constant need to wear tight clothes left.
Yes.
The constant need to validate myself by how I looked left, right? And then I started it's like God took me through that process. I'm not at that church anymore. There was, the church drama, which
there's always church drama.
I was late to the bus. I was late to the school bus on that. But God, that's when I started loving myself again.
I love that.
And that was when I started going back to school. The same year that I got baptized, in 2016, April. Been with Concordia ever since. And I had the opportunity to teach a class last semester. So I'm a part-time faculty. I'm in the union.
Okay, talk about what you changed there, though, because we had this conversation prior. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I stopped doing drugs cold turkey. Did the family certificate at Concordia. And my family was asking me, well, what are you going to do with that? Like, them seeing the change.
Right.
Sometimes you think, like, when you change from good after being bad, that your family would embrace you.
Yes.
But it's different. Humans, we're people of habit, right?
Of course, yeah.
So it was weird seeing me go from clubbing every day, coming in at 5 a.m, doing these things, smoking, drinking, doing hard drugs, all this stuff, to secluding myself in my room, covering my hair to pray on the floor, listening to gospel music all the time. So I was being
called...
That's
a huge transition, my friend.
I was being called Bible thumper, all this stuff. So I even, at a point, I had to, like, re-love my family, too.
Yes, that's hard.
Because they're seeing a new person in me.
Of course.
So I did it, and I trusted God, and all the questions is like, well, what are you going to do with this? What are you going to do with that? Like, obviously money wasn't the same anymore.
Of course not, yes.
And when you're used to, like, giving money to this one, that one, this one, and it stops, you realize those people necessarily aren't the same with you.
Exactly.
So that's when I started working at Dawn Canada. And I was literally doing, like, I was getting paid $120 a week.
Wow.
I was doing, like, nothing, and I was, like, the lowest paid until 2019, 2020. Yeah, so that mentality as, like, I'm helping this girl kind of stayed a little bit until I had to, and even though it stayed, I didn't let it stop me from what I was doing in the community, because I believe that, God called me to help people who've been in similar situations as me.
you. Yes.
People who've dealt with substance abuse, people who've dealt with physical and sexual abuse and rape, and people who've dealt in the sex work and all that type of stuff. I said, you know what? These are the people that I want to help. They don't have to have lived everything that I've lived, but I just want to help people who did not have a person that could pull them out of that miry clay. And for me, that was God, right? I'm not saying I wanted to be God to other people, but I just wanted to
help.
By being me,
exactly.
I just wanted to give back.
I love
that. It started like that. I started doing feeding the homeless.
Yes.
You know?
Okay.
And that was with dirty money. Wow. I felt, because when God's changed you, God doesn't change you right away.
Right.
So I felt the calling that every time I came back in Montreal, I had to give back.
Okay.
So I started feeding the homeless, and that led to me starting Miracle Makers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And which eventually led to me working with Welfare Avenue now, which is youth who are doing it.
Yes.
And then from there, I'm working with young women, and it's awesome because I come up showing exactly as I am.
I love
so that they could see that, no matter what you've been to or been through, there's nothing stopping you but you.
Exactly.
And I let them know. I've been through a lot of abuse, like even last year, an experience of abuse.
Wow.
And 2024.
Wow.
And just when I thought maybe it would be enough, I'm advocating for gender-based violence, but I'm still a statistic.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
So that feeling like traumatized me, and I had a little moment of relapse.
Okay.
But got right back in it when I got the opportunity to teach.
Good,
right?
good.
But I'm real with my clients because,
I like that.
a lot of them, they're living in shelters. They've been mistreated by their family and friends, loved ones, exploited. They don't know anything else but the situation they're in.
Yep.
So sometimes I like to take them and expose them to, safe disclosure, because when you're working in clinical work, you don't want to disclose too much.
Of course.
But I believe that there's a healthy amount of disclosure that you could do so that they could relate and they could see the other side.
Absolutely.
So since then, I've just been in the helping professions.
I love that.
Yes. And then eventually I started working, doing the radio show also.
Okay, talk about that too. Yes.
It was awesome because I started as an intern.
Hey.
Your old girl started as an intern.
She's not old.
But I seen the opportunity and I was like, why not?
Exactly.
I never dreamt about being in radio, but it was definitely, I'm the type of person that if I see an opportunity, I'll try anything. You know what I mean?
That.
I'm a jack of all trades. You know what I mean?
Tamara of all trades.
I'm Tamara of all trades.
Tamara of all trades. Talk about the radio a little bit more. Which radio station is it? I'm going to let you plug it for yourself.
Listen, I'm known as the girl of unpopular opinions. They love me, they hate me, but I'm not going nowhere, baby.
Right, exactly.
It's the Morning Detour on CKUT 90.3 FM. We are Fridays from 7 to 9 a.m. Every Friday you could catch us, unless both of us on vacation or something. You know what I mean? But you're going to catch our resident DJ, DJ Nels, who's also a racialized woman. So it's like the whole team is really women, and Wheezy, of course. And so I started as an intern, and then it led to me having more insight about using your voice to speak out, right?
I love that.
Because I used to make music back in the day, right?
Yes.
So I was always in the spotlight, but when God changed me, like that changed.
Okay.
Because I was using the spotlight for the wrong reason.
I hear you.
Right?
Yes.
So now I just want to be behind the scenes. In those old 90s hip hop shows or 90s black shows, you see the mouth.
Yeah.
The teeth and the woman talking on the radio. You never see her face, but you know who it belongs to. I wanted to be that.
I got you. Yes.
So I like the idea of having a platform to talk about things. And while it is a urban hip hop radio show, and that's how it started, as you could see if you listen to it now, it has definitely transformed and evolved into something much more than hip hop.
Yes.
It's like we're taking urban to a whole nother level. It's cultural.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we're more than just hip hop. Hip hop is also culture.
Exactly.
And it comes with business. It comes with entrepreneurship.
Yes.
It comes with style and sass.
Hey.
So we get all those type of people who are in business, who are in community, who are in, artists and creativities to come and interview. And that when I first started joining, I was still at Concordia finishing my bachelor's. And my friend Zupa, we started our podcast, Fall Awake, right?
Yes, I remember that podcast. Yes.
Which is about raising awareness about the issues that face Black communities.
Yes.
And from that, we started doing workshops.
Okay.
So I still do the workshops now.
Nice.
Like I got contracted by an awesome organization, O3.
Yay.
So I do a bunch of workshops now for organizations, whether corporate or community, on various topics. So, the organization might be dealing with something culturally or equity based, racially based. It could be microaggressions, discrimination.
I love that.
It could be staff wanting to better serve their clients, wanted to be better aware of how to work with different populations, whether it's a marketing business, community business, or corporate. Also, workshops on cultural proficiency, gender-based violence, because of that's something that I've experienced.
Yes.
And even though I take the stats, everything that I do, I replace it. It goes back to me as the foundation.
100%.
And ultimately Black healing. So we started that together, and like we've also gone our own ways and been able to do that as an individual. But like you said, everything that I do is all around you, like bits and pieces of my testimony.
I love
flowing in through all aspects of my work. So people will look at me to be like, girl, you have 2 part-time jobs, a full-time job, you do the radio, you volunteer, you do workshops. How do you do it? Ask God first.
Exactly. You just get it done. That's it.
But it's all, to me, it's all social work.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
One at the macro level, because at Dawn Canada, we're advocating for education policy reform. We're doing advocacy and research. There's times that I've went to Parliament to speak on behalf of issues that impact Black and Indigenous young girls in terms of mental health. Coming up in June, we're doing an awesome project in the Caribbean, right?
Okay.
Bringing together a bunch of different islands like Guyana, Grenada, Barbados, Jamaica, to focus on disability and gender-based violence for women.
I love that. Okay.
So it's like, it's coming along, it's coming slowly, and they all fall into place. The clinical work and the family work is more one-on-one. So I get to see, because sometimes when you're just working at the policy level, you don't get to see how those policies trickle down into one-on-one interactions with clients. So that's why I also do that. And that's why I also do the family work, because now I'm working with systems. Systems that have, historically marginalized Black and, other racialized people. So to me, it's all the same work, just in different levels.
I love that. So going back to, you said your history, what you've been through, what you've done, right? What would you tell young girls who were in that situation right this second?
That was her question to begin with, and I just went all over the place.
No, it was, what would you say to your younger self?
Yeah.
But what would you tell girls that are in it right now? Because we know that this is something that is still happening. You know what I mean? So for you taking yourself out of it, God helping you out of it, what would you say to a young girl in that situation right now?
Find people who are not in that life who love you and support you. Because sometimes, like, you will feel that you don't even deserve to be around them. And that's how I felt. When people were sending me sermons, I felt like I don't deserve to have you as a friend because I'm not in that life.
Got you.
And it's like, what I'm doing you won't agree with and all that stuff.
Right.
Having that support system was a big thing. And also having a little bit of faith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, faith in you. Like I said, there's some people who are in it. I don't knock it even now, right? I believe that everyone deserves rights no matter what they're doing. And I know because of colonization and systemic discrimination, especially with Indigenous women, missing and murdered Indigenous women, a lot of them do their, sex work is their route, right? Because of all the systems of oppression that they've experienced, right? But does that mean that they don't deserve to be safe?
Exactly.
Right? And just because I'm no longer in that life or dancing or anything like that, does that mean that the girls who are still in it don't deserve to be safe and valued? Right? So I shout out to still all those organizations who are supporting them women.
Right.
But I believe for me, it was not my thing. It wasn't in me. Like some people, maybe it's in them.
Yes, I got you.
It wasn't in me, but like having at least even one person that believes in you and listening to them, you know what I mean? Taking heed to what they say. Even if we don't want to, it plants seeds.
I love that.
And for the people who are around them, stop looking at behaviors as identifiers of who someone is. Because I had a lot of symptoms, At one point, there was family, relatives who were labeling me as the black sheep, as the bad one, didn't really trust me. I had fast hands, you know what I mean?
At the time.
At the time. And so if I just reacted based off all the negative that was being reflected into me, which I did a lot of the time.
Okay.
And that's why I did what I did, because, you know, going through sexual abuse, rape and all that stuff, your body doesn't become your own anymore. So then instead of being down, like being totally crushed by it, suicide ideation was a thing. I tried multiple times, never happened. God.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
How many people try to commit suicide 3 times and it doesn't work?
It doesn't work,
right? Yeah. So then I just decided to find power in my mess. And I said, okay, I'm going to use this thing that was taken from me as a tool now.
Right.
So instead of other people using it as a tool, I began to use it as a tool. You know what I mean? But having people who believed in me and trusted in me was big. Having a little bit of faith in myself, even so small, was big.
Right.
And never letting that be my identity. Still playing the piano. Still creating art. Still painting. Still like listening to music and even writing music in terms of poetry if I wasn't performing anymore. Having all those pieces, all those stills kept me. And it's unfortunate because in this day and age, we see a lot of youth, there still is just technology.
Yes.
There still is just the internet.
Yeah.
So I believe it's up to us, people who've been there or not, the older generation, to expose them to different things.
Absolutely.
Because my mom exposed me. I played almost every instrument in the book. Wow. I've done ballet, jazz ballet, everything. Jazz dance, everything. Yeah. So because my mother took her time to expose me to all those different things, I had different outlets already in the back of my mind to keep me in those moments of manic depression, to keep me in those moments of anxiety and pain and hurt, right?
Okay.
So it's really, to me, it's really about that, the support system, faith, and doing things that bring you joy.
I love that. Okay, before we play our game, I have one more question, which is, what is a quote or Bible verse that you live by on a daily basis?
It's a quote by Audre Lorde that talks about self-care as an act of resistance or political warfare type of thing like that. And that was real to me, you know what I mean? Okay. Because we are always talking about self-care in academic spaces.
Absolutely, yes.
Especially in terms of, you know, care workers, burnout.
Yes.
But self-care doesn't look the same for everybody.
Absolutely,
you know?
That's right.
Self-care for me as a Caribbean woman looks like spending time with my family. Self-care for me is getting educated on stuff that continues to impact our community.
Right.
So that I have the verbiage, the vocabulary.
Yes.
So that I can navigate spaces where I'm the only one that looks like me in it. So that I won't be harmed in those spaces.
I love that.
Self-care for me, that's why I like that quote, because it is an act of resistance to these systems that continue to oppress us. Because I take the time to get informed, to unplug in a sense, and to do stuff that I love so that I could continue showing up fully as myself.
I like that. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Folks, you got it all. You got it all from Miss Wlliams. Yes. We are going to play a game. We'll be right back. All right, folks, so we are back. You know how we do on Talking with Miss Trish. We always have to play a game with our guests. And since we have Miss Wlliams, all right, here, okay, she knows a lot. But let's see how much she knows about Montreal. So we're going to do a type of fast money round that we do on Family Feud, but Miss Trish style. And I'm going to do it Montreal style, too. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so in Fast Money, they always say we asked 100 people. So we asked 100 people, what's the most famous food in Montreal?
Poutine.
Yes, you're right. Okay, next question. We asked 100 people.
With fried chicken in it. I'm joking.
In Montreal, not in Louisiana.
I'm joking. With buffalo sauce.
Stop it.
Okay.
The next one is, we asked 100 people, what's the most popular summer festival in Montreal?
The Jazz Fest?
Yes, 100%. We asked 100 people, where's the best place to get a Montreal-style bagel?
Saint Viateur. And if it's not, it should be.
Oh, you are right on.
For real?
You are. I looked at the answer. I was like, she's actually right. Oh my God. Okay, that's good. All right. What's the most Montreal thing to do on a Sunday?
Walk around Old Port.
Picnic. Actually, walk around Old Port. It's the third one, actually.
I'm good at this thing.
The first one.
Yo!
The first this one is going to Tam Tam, though.
Oh, okay. Picnic. Well, I said picnic.
You did say picnic, but it actually says walk around Old Port. Okay.
Because your girl is one with nature, baby.
I love that. Okay. Next is we asked 100 people what's a must-see landmark in Montreal.
A must-see landmark. A lot of them go to the Notre Dame Cathedral.
Yep. Okay. Where else?
The clock tower.
Yeah. One more.
And Mount Royal.
Of course, you got them all right.
Oh God!
You got them. Listen, I feel like this is too easy. I feel like it was too easy. I should have made it something.
You know your girl likes outdoor activities, right?
Right. Ooh. Okay. What is the short name for dépanneur, quarter store?
Dep.
Right. Which Montreal rapper has made the biggest international impact?
Bad News Brown.
Yes.
It is?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, of course he has. Of course he has. All right, last one. What's the best way to get around in Montreal?
Okay. This is not the best way. The first way is probably the metro.
Yes.
But
exactly.
Bikes came to mind. Do you know that they spent 800 million?
Wait,
was it 800 million?
Yes, it is. That's
okay. So bikes, they want it to be bikes, but how many bikes did you see going around this winter?
Not quite a lot, because we had a terrible 74 centimeters that just came down a couple of days ago, and then after we topped it off with more, so not a lot of bikes.
Yeah.
So it's the metro.
Yeah. I won.
You did. Give it up for yourself. Yeah. All right, folks. So that was our Fast Money round. Tamara did very well. Give her a round of applause. If you're watching, it'll find you. And what's next for you?
Oh, what's next? Wow. Okay.
She's like another one.
Yeah, nothing next. Well, you can find me on Tamara Medford Wlliams on LinkedIn. Tamara.Angeline, Angeline. I-N-E.
Right, exactly. I'll spell it out for you guys, don't worry.
If you're interested in following the radio show, The Morning Detour, it's at Detour514 on Instagram and The Morning Detour on Facebook. And what's next for me? Like I said, I'm really about taking it slow this year.
That's what you said, yes.
I'm still a part-time professor, but I'm not teaching this semester. I'll most likely be teaching again in fall. So I'm just prepping myself for everything that comes. I have a few panels to do for International Women's Day.
Beautiful.
And of course, still facilitating workshops for organizations and stuff like that, and doing the work that needs to be done.
Amen. Well, we support you. We look forward to you, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for making me be here.
No,
she made me.
I did. She made me.
I know.
In the best way.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for watching. See you the next time.